our show, College Talk Tuesday. Here we are on Friday with some breaking news. Cue the music. So this is like, not to make light of it. This is like, Anderson Cooper flying into a hurricane area or something like that. So there's been some problems that apparently have been plaguing thousands of parents around the country relating to the new and improved FAFSA link with the IRS, the FAFSA, Free Application for Federal Student Aid, and the IRS data retrieval tool, which is designed which is designed to, don't editorialize, this is just,
information.
Yes. Which is designed to help parents dump in their income information. Now, we have spoken before about how this year the changes that they made might cause a problem in that now people who are applying for financial aid, unlike last year, can't see the information that goes in there. So here is, I guess, kind of an unforeseen consequence.
Right.
So what's happening is a certain type of person, which I guess you should probably talk about, is filing and dumping their IRS data into the FAFSA and having a big problem because their income, and therefore their income gets artificially increased and their eligibility correspondingly gets artificially decreased. And that is a big problem because that could, if you don't fix it, prevent you from getting all the financial aid that you would have otherwise deserved. So, So number one, what is the problem? And then we'll go on from there.
Okay. So the problem is specifically with any IRA or pension distributions that happened in the calendar year of 2016 that were intended and were in fact rollovers and should not count against you because it's money that perhaps is rolled over into another retirement vehicle and should still be completely out of the financial aid calculations. But unfortunately, there is some glitch in the IRS or FAFSA system that is bringing in that entire distribution into the calculation. So the good news for our clients is before I run any FAFSA for real, I have software that allows me to see exactly what your EFC should be. So I am going in before I even file the FAFSA knowing what the information should be. What happens now when you file the FAFSA, you file your information, all the biological data, demographic data comes in. And when you utilize the IRS DRT tool, which is mandatory because schools will not ultimately give you an award if that or some form of that doesn't happen. Once we use the IRS DRT, the very next screen one sees is you see your biological information, then anywhere there is an income information line, it simply says the words transferred from the IRS. Transferred from the IRS.
All right, let me jump in here.
Instead of a dollar figure.
Okay, so just to go 30,000-foot view here. So what's happening is when you're simply transferring an account, a retirement account from your old employer to an IRA, that's not income. You're just moving money from one to another. You're not earning it again. It's money you've saved, actually.
Right, and that's called a rollover.
Right. So the IRS data retrieval tool and the FAFSA are somehow not communicating with each other and reporting that as extra income. So that's artificially decreasing eligibility. So you said before, you're checking this out for our clients. If most people here watching this are not our clients, what do you recommend that they do? Number one, in terms of checking, to figure out what their eligibility should be,
right.
And number two, what should they be telling the colleges?
Okay. Well, every school provides a net price calculator on its site. So what I would recommend before you plunge in and file the forms is get a general sense. It's not going to be an exact dollar, but you should have a general idea what your EFC or your expected family contribution will be. The EFC is the number that generates once one files a FAFSA. It spits out your EFC, your expected family contribution, the amount that the Department of Education feels that your family can pay for 1 year of college. Okay, so if you use the cost calculator on a particular site of one of the schools you're applying to, and it gives you a figure, you will have a general idea what your EFC should be. If, after filing, and again, you're not going to have any other data that's going to tip you off, you're just going to see transferred from the IRS, and you're going to feel, woo, okay, did it right. And then when you complete and submit your FAFSA, if you see your EFC is wildly different than the number that you had expected, and you also know you are someone who has a rollover IRA or pension, then that is a pretty good clue that, in fact, your IRA and or pension rollover got improperly included into that EFC figure.
All right, so hang on. So if you're just joining us, what we're talking about is a problem being reported on the FAFSA where it picks up artificial income that doesn't really exist. It's misreporting information from the IRS data retrieval tool, which dumps income information into the FAFSA, and specifically, like Pearl just said, rollovers. If you have any questions, I don't know if you can get a chance to go on. If you have any questions, pop them into comments. We'll answer them here. If you're watching this on replay, maybe that problem will be fixed by the time that you watch this.
Or it'll be shut down like last year.
Or it'll be
and that's what happened.
Yeah, or something like that.
When they don't get it right.
But either way, please please share this with other people that you know who are filing FAFSAs, and of course, if you want our help, we're offering that too. But this is just sort of a public service, breaking news announcement. So, So what do you do before you start looking at comments? What is your best recommendation in terms of what filers, people filing the FAFSA, are telling the college financial aid, should be telling the college financial aid offices if their income is artificially inflated? Okay.
Well, first I would just save you some time and do not bother calling FAFSA.
Yeah.
Because number one, they're bombarded with thousands of calls, and number two, they cannot change it. Okay. So they
of an unforeseen backfiring consequence.
Right. Okay, so what I would recommend and what I'll be doing on behalf of my clients that I see this happening to, I would write a letter to each school that you are applying to, address it to the financial aid office with your student's name and all of their pertinent information. Social security number, date of birth. And you want to point out, basically in sum and substance, that the FAFSA as filed was incorrect, that the rollover amount was improperly pulled into the calculation, and therefore the EFC, expected family contribution, is artificially high. And that
Keep it short and sweet. That's good.
Exactly, and that you're seeking the college the colleges can make adjustments to the FAFSA, by the way, and you're asking the colleges to make that adjustment on their end accordingly. That's it. And then at least, the reality is, don't panic too much, because once these forms...
A little is okay?
Well, a little is okay. To completely ignore it and then everybody ignores it, you're not going to be given an award that you're entitled to. But just rest assured, this is an ongoing process. The filing is not the end result, just like the 4 years of college, we always say.
All right, so get into some of these questions say hi to people, because I can't see.
Okay, I'm being asked amongst many questions, but do we have an option not to use the IRS DRT? Here's the problem. Most schools
Carl
will not render
Michelle,
a financial aid award decision unless and until you use that IRS DRT. Sometimes, and I have said this in the past, one is not able to use the IRS DRT, in which case school is going to request that you first send away to the IRS for a tax return transcript from 2016.
The old 4806, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got another question. I can't remember who it was. I want to applaud them for the question. Carl, do you have the option of using the IRS tool, or can you fill it out by hand? You still can submit paper FAFSA, that's just even worse. That's even slower.
Right.
At this point, I don't know if it's worse than the data retrieval tool issue,
Right.
but I would still try to file electronically. Michelle, who's a guidance counselor, by the way, asked, "Is this going to be fixed?"
Hopefully, I can just tell you
Our
last
sources
year.
say we don't have any sources. They eventually they'll fix it.
Maybe.
Hopefully for this year, though.
Hopefully for this year.
Yeah.
What we found last year when the IRS DRT was not working properly, they just shut it down altogether midway through the year, and that was that. And then, if they still needed it caused the requirement for many to have to go and obtain the IRS tax return transcript, which, well, you've all dealt with the IRS before. That could take some time too.
You sound a little cynical, but anyway, so it's Pearl and Andy Lockwood here. If you're just joining us, we see a bunch of people coming on, and what we're talking about are problems for people who have rollover IRAs or rollover pensions, meaning they changed jobs, they moved one of their retirement accounts to another retirement account. Maybe they left a job and had a 401k and put that into an IRA, something like that. What's happening, apparently, thousands of families are experiencing an issue that is treating that as income. Even
Those who are actually aware that it's happening. It just may be unbeknownst to them.
Right. So they're experiencing this issue, but they may be unaware of it. Okay.
Right.
And what the result is that will make them painfully aware is that their eligibility will be really, really low, artificially wiped out maybe, because most IRA rollovers are in the six figures. Yeah. So the problem has something to do, and we don't know the answers. We don't know when it's going to be fixed. We assume it's going to be. But
they are aware of it.
Just what we're trying to do is to kind of walk you through it, get out ahead of the curve. So you probably have most parents know at least 1 to 20 other parents who are going to be filing financial aid forms. Please do us, but do them a favor and share this with as many people as you know who could benefit from this. To keep it short and sweet, Pearl's advice: your expected family contribution, you can do that before you file on a net price calculator. That's not exactly the same thing, but it's a close representation of that. Every school has its own net price calculator. There's also a FAFSA forecasting tool on the FAFSA website, fafsa.gov. So either one of those, you should just know what you're getting into before you file. If you're doing this on your own, we are in this field too. We still have availability for people if they want our help. But the bottom line is, once you file, you need to check and see what your EFC is, and then if it looks way out of whack and you have a rollover, then your advice is to not to call FAFSA, but instead to do what? One more time.
Okay, exactly. And again, this is for those who know that they have a rollover IRA or pension in their 2016 tax return. If this applies to you, then I would say, irrespective of what pops out, if you don't have the time to sit and figure out what your EFC is beforehand, if you have a rollover pension or IRA from your 2016 return, and you are the least bit concerned that it got accidentally pulled in, then I would write each college, address it to the financial aid office with all of your students' data, name, social, birth date, entering freshman, and with an attached document that shows proof that that amount was in fact a rollover.
So what is that attached document? The actual tax return or the statement from the
It's a 1099.
Okay.
It's a 1099 that shows evidence of the distribution that matches that your tax preparer used when preparing your tax return, which is why that rollover amount was even on your tax return. And further, with an explanation, this rollover amount may have been or was improperly included in the calculations when my EFC was being figured.
Which of course is accurate, because it's not income. You're just transferring one savings account to another. You already earned money on that and put that into the savings account. You shouldn't be penalized again.
Right, and that is in fact the rule.
Couple of questions here, Pearl.
Yes.
All right. Hello to Jennifer, by the way. All right. So Tony Ann, is it working for everyone else that doesn't have the rollovers?
Yes, so far I have seen no other known issues.
Okay. Cautiously optimistic on that.
Yes.
Nancy Ziering says, thank you for this live platform. Isn't the IRS tool submitting information to schools without the family being able to see what is reported?
Yes.
Do you recommend doing it manually and not using the IRS tool?
No, because the schools are going to require the information being officially given by the IRS in a way that you can't fetter with it. So
Fetter.
have some, touch it, alter it in any way. That is why.
I can think of another F word.
Okay.
Fool.
Fudge.
Okay.
So I think avoiding the IRS DRT may cause you a lot more work down the road. So
Objection, speculation. No.
Well,
just kidding. I just
one
want to
way
say
or the
that.
other, there's going to have to be some official transmission of your IRS information that doesn't have anything to do with you.
I
to the
think
school.
what's going to happen is I think schools are going to start reaching out. If it's a big enough problem for them, I don't see how it won't be. I think they're going to start reaching out, bombarding filers with emails. Eventually, hopefully, the Department of Ed will be issuing some sort of statement. We'll see.
Here's the other thing.
Or it could be fixed by the time we get off the air.
That's true
Who
too.
knows?
But not to panic. Like anything else, even if it's something, just to take the flip side of this, even if it was something that maybe one inadvertently forgot to include or left out on purpose or what have you, this is like a giant puzzle. So once financial aid forms are sent, that then triggers each school to begin to prepare an award letter. And with that, they have other requirements and other data they are going to want to collect from you to make sure that they are rendering a correct and accurate award. To that end, for example, if somebody indicates something in something they have filed that tips off a financial aid officer that something exists and you have shown no other evidence of it, they're going to go back to you and have further inquiry about it. They're going to verify that information. So too, if once we file forms, most of the schools are going to require your actually submitted 2016 tax return, all schedules, and W-2s. Once they have all that, all of this information will be known, and things. As long as you know you fall in this category and we know this problem is happening, my recommendation, and I will be doing this for my clients, send out a letter to the financial aid office letting them know at the outset, this was improperly taken in, this is a rollover, here is the proof that it was a rollover, and you've handled the issue.
Yeah. Chances are you're going to have to follow up more than once.
Right.
Because if you're having an issue like this, thousands of others, that's what we hear, are having this issue, and if it's not fixed, again, it could be fixed right away, it could not be fixed, we're just speculating right now. We'll come on with another breaking news special edition once we have more information about this, just like any network. Yeah. And just hang in there, but you just have to be patient, and
Yes.
don't be, don't ignore all the emails that you're going to be getting after you file, but don't overreact to them either. So there's something in the middle.
Correct.
Yeah. And if you want our help, just pop a comment in here and just say, can you guys help us with our forms? Even if you don't, this is just sort of a community service, public breaking news announcement. So it would be great if you, not only as a favor to us, but also to all your friends who are going through this right now, please share this information with them too, because chances are this is probably the first time they're hearing about this. And not everyone is affected, only people with rollovers in 2016. But, we'll see. Maybe there'll be some other problems. Maybe they'll go away magically.
It's the first one known.
Yeah. But what something else I want to point out is that we do regular broadcasts for our clients at least once a month, and in the last 3 months we've been going on maybe twice a month and doing live discussions and all that. And one of the things that I've heard Pearl say over and over again is she's not going to file anyone on October 1st. Now today is the 13th, and this is exactly why she was saying this, because there's always glitches. So you shouldn't rush things through. She's been filing plenty of people, without glitches, but we always think it's prudent to wait a few days, and the reason for that is because of this.
Exactly.
And your due date, the earliest due date for any school that at least we see in our practice is October 15th, which is for early action applicants to UNC Chapel Hill. Everyone else is at the earliest November 1, November 15th, and so forth. So there's no need to rush it in. I would urge caution and medication. Self-medication. All right. Before we wrap up, if you're just joining us either live or on replay, we have a lot of people coming on here. Jim, hello to Jim. Jim says thanks. Anyone else who has a question or a comment, pop them in here, and since we're about to sign off, we will get back to you hopefully same day. If not, it'll be within a day. Okay? Any other breaking news stories?
Nope.
Should we break for weather and traffic?
Yeah. Let's do that.
Okay. Or just, we rushed into the studio for this special report. Now we're going to go back upstairs.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So thanks for joining us, and we'll be back on,
with
in
more
a couple of days.
exciting FAFSA updates.
Yeah. Bye-bye.